Today, I'll be talking about my top 10 favorite flat rides. Flat rides are a very underrated subset of rides at theme parks, and I have some personal favorites that I really enjoy. But I haven't been on a lot of flat rides, and I'm excited to see what I can do in the future, but other than that, let's start. In last place is Extreme Skyflyer. Personally, I didn't have the best experience in this thing. I can't really pinpoint exactly what about it I didn't like it, but the thrill alone puts it on this list. Maybe that the whole process feels very weird compared to all other rides, but you start getting all hooked up, which is also very strange if you've never done one of these rides. Then you get dragged up, drop, and then you fly back and forth until the ride's over. The flying sensation is pretty cool, but it's very different from all other rides that I've been on, and it was probably the ride that I was most scared to ride. Ninth place is the Blue Side of Power Tower. This is a pretty normal drop tower in my opinion. All you do is go up about 300 feet, which is very cool. From the top, you can easily see everything in the direction that you're facing, and the one where you're actually facing the entire park is especially cool. But once you're at the top, you get let go and fall down 30 stories. The airtime is pretty good, and the restraints are very similar to the old B&M restraints, and overall, it's a good ride and I approve of it. A very mid-ride is Max Air. This ride could have been a lot better, but the restraints and it just being very short kills the entire ride for me. It's not big enough to give any major thrill, and even if there was airtime, it's killed by the restraints. The things are so bulky and honestly terrible. But even though there are a lot of flaws, I think this ride is still alright, and I've seen many other cool disc rides, and I wish Cedar Fair just went with a different manufacturer than Huss. Next up is Delirium. I think this ride is very similar to Max Air, where the concept is there, but the ride is just okay. This has the plus that it's slightly bigger than Max Air, giving it a slight edge, but other than that, the ride is like the exact same. Just a Huss disc ride with bulky restraints. The airtime while going up and down is pretty alright, but those restraints are a contender for the worst restraints I've ever been on. And I hope Kings Island can get a better one in the future, since I've heard those rides are amazing, and this one is just not that. The first flat ride out of the top 5 is Soul Spin. This is a criminally underrated ride. Soul Spin is one of the more unique flat rides that I've been on, and it's great. It starts off slow, but when it's going, it's really intense. The top of the loop has airtime somehow, and the bottom of the loop is very intense. And it fits in such a small plot of land that I would love to see this type of flat ride at many other parks like Cedar Point and others in the Cedar Fair chain. Fifth place is Power Tower Red Side at Cedar Point. I think that the red side is slightly better than the blue side in my opinion. Unlike the blue side, you get shot up instead of being dropped like a normal drop tower, and I think that's pretty cool. The airtime that you get while being shot up is amazing and some of the best airtime from a flat ride that I've been on. But after that, the ride kind of dies since you just bobble there, but the first shot up is so amazing that it puts it in the top 5. The fourth spot is WindSeeker. WindSeeker isn't very intense, but it's the views that I love so much about this ride. Going up 300 feet and having those types of views is crazy no matter what park it's at. And if it's at Kings Island or Cedar Point, you know that you'll get a clear view of all the rides in the park and everything else that's to see at these parks. Being up that high for so long is very cool to me, even though that there's no real thrill, and I enjoy my rides on WindSeeker whenever I can get on it. Up next is Drop Tower at Kings Island. This is the best drop tower on the list in my opinion. The drop has so much anticipation since it takes so long to get up there, and you feel like you're up there forever. But when you actually do get to the top, you drop, and it has so much airtime the entire way down. And since Drop Tower is 300 feet tall, you get a good 4 seconds of just free fall sensation, which is really good. And the brakes come in so late that I feel like you're just going to smack against the ground because the brakes don't actually start hitting until you're 50 feet away from the ground. And overall, this is a very good drop tower for Kings Island and the best on the list. The runner-up is Dr. Doom Freefall. This is the most themed ride on the list, and it bumps it up a lot for me. The theming from Q to right before you launch is great. The little Dr. Doom speech before you actually launch up is really cool and a great touch. Also, the view of this ride from the entrance is very good, and since it's in its own little corner, it's a really cool little subsection of this themed area. But the ride experience is very similar to Cedar Point's, where it's just a launch up and then you're kind of dangling there. But at least like the one at Cedar Point has great views of all the rides at Islands of Adventure, and I would even go as far to say that this is a must ride when you go to Islands. Number 1 is Skyhawk at Cedar Point. This ride is so underrated since nobody talks about it, but it's amazing and my favorite flat ride that I've been on. It's like all the other normal Screamin' swings, which are all great, but this one swings over the pathways, which is especially cool when you're looking down and seeing all the people looking up at you. And the restraints allow for so much room that when you get airtime, you actually feel like you're just gonna fly out, and it's so fun. And this ride has a solid ride time compared to many other rides on this list that are very short and finish quickly, so overall, this ride has no complaints from me. Thanks for watching, subscribe, vote on my community tab, and other than that, have a good day.